with you when the results start to come in. All right, meantime, it's an all-out slugfest heading into the final primaries and caucuses this week. But right now, it would seem that Donald Trump's biggest wounds may be self-inflicted. This morning, a prominent Republican is calling his latest claim, Donald Trump's claim about the so-called Mexican judge, one of the worst mistakes. Former House Speaker Newt Gingrich is criticizing Trump's refusal to back down from his claims that Judge Gonzalo Curiel, who is presiding over the Trump University fraud case, is biased against Trump because, quote, he's of Mexican heritage. To be clear, Judge Curiel is an American. He was born in Indiana. First, here is Trump this morning on State of the Union.
I have had horrible rulings. I've been treated very unfairly by this judge. Now, this judge is of Mexican heritage. I'm building a wall.
And here's Newt Gingrich, a Trump supporter and potential vice presidential pick.
No. This is one of the worst mistakes Trump has made. I think it's inexcusable. He has every right to criticize a judge, and he has every right to say certain decisions aren't right, and his attorneys can file to move the venue from the judge. But first of all, this judge was born in Indiana. He is an American, period. Trump has got to, I think, move to a new level. This is no longer the primaries. He's no longer an interesting contender. He is now the potential leader of the United States, and he's got to move his game up to the level of being a potential leader.
All right, lots of headlines this morning to discuss this hour, but first, more of Jake Tapper's interview with Donald Trump from State of the Union.
I want to ask you about comments you made about the judge in the Trump University case. You said that you thought it was a conflict of interest that he was the judge because he's of Mexican heritage, even though he's from Indiana. Yeah. Hillary Clinton said that that is a racist attack on a federal judge.
Oh, you know, she's so wonderful, you know. I mean, here's a woman that should be put in jail for what she did with her emails, and she's commenting on this.
Let me just tell you,
it's very simple. I have a case where thousands of people have taken this course, and thousands of people have said great reviews, great reviews. Fortunately, just about everybody that took the courses have signed a review, an evaluation, they call it. And it's gotten tremendous marks. Thousands. I don't mean like 2 people. I mean thousands of people. Okay. I have a situation where the woman that brought the case, she was the plaintiff. She was deposed. She was found to be a disaster for them as a witness because she gave an evaluation that was like the best evaluation you've ever heard. Wait just 1 second.
Okay.
And she did a tape, like from your camera, saying that this school was fantastic. It was fantastic. They went to the judge and they said, Your Honor, we don't want her anymore to be our plaintiff. So we said, let's dismiss the case. That's okay. Let's dismiss the case. And he said, no, I won't dismiss the case, and she doesn't have to be the plaintiff.
Let me tell you.
I'll tell you what it has to do. I have had ruling after ruling after ruling that's been bad rulings, okay? I've been treated very unfairly. Before him, we had another judge. If that judge was still there, this case would have been over 2 years ago. Let me just tell you, I have had horrible rulings. I've been treated very unfairly by this judge. Now, this judge is of Mexican heritage. I'm building a wall, okay? I'm building a wall. I am going to do very well with the Hispanics, the Mexicans,
So no Mexican judge could ever be involved in a case that involves you?
He's a member of a society where, you know, very pro-Mexico, and that's fine. It's all fine. But I think he should recuse himself.
Because he's
then
Latino.
You also say, does he know the lawyer on the other side? I mean, does he know the lawyer? You know, a lot of people say yes. I don't know.
I'm talking about
that's another problem.
But you're invoking his race when talking about whether or not he can do his job.
Jake, I'm building a wall. Okay, I'm building a wall. I'm trying to keep business out of Mexico. Mexico's fine. There's nothing.
But he's American. He's an American.
He's of Mexican heritage, and he's very proud of it, as I am where I come from.
But he's
my
an
parents.
American. You keep talking about
Jake.
It's a conflict of interest because of Mexico.
Are you ready? I have a case that should have been dismissed already. I have thousands of people saying Trump University is fantastic, okay? I have a case that should have been dismissed. I have a judge that never, ever gives a... Now we lose the plaintiff. He lets the plaintiff of the case out. So why isn't he canceling the case? So we thought we won the case.
So you didisagree with his rulings? I totally understand that.
Not me. I've had lawyers come up to me say, you are being treated so unfairly, it's unbelievable. Do you know the plaintiffs in the case have all said wonderful things about the school, and they're suing? You know why they're suing? Because they want to get their money back.
I don't really want to litigate the case of Trump University.
Because if he was giving me fair rulings, I wouldn't say that.
My question is...
Jake, if he were giving me fair rulings, I wouldn't be talking to you this way. He's giving me horrible rulings.
I don't care if you criticize him. That's fine. You can criticize every decision. What I'm saying is, if you invoke his race as a reason why he can't
I think
do his
that's why
job-
he's doing it.
But
I think that's why he's doing it.
when Hillary Clinton says it's a racist
Hillary
attack.
Clinton is a stiff. If Hillary Clinton
Paul
becomes
Ryan
president,
today, Paul Ryan today said he didn't care for the way that you were attacking this judge.
Look, I'm just telling you, Paul Ryan doesn't know the case. Here's the story.
Isn't it the
I should have won this case on summary judgment. This is not a case. This is a case I should have won on summary judgment. Do you know the law firm paid Hillary Clinton hundreds of thousands of dollars to make speeches? Do you know the law firm has...
I do. We've reported, we've reported it on my show.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad. You're the only one. The law firm, wait a minute. The law firm paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to Hillary Clinton for speeches.
Before either of you
She wasn't worth it. Everybody fell asleep during a speech.
Before either of you were running for president, they did. But here's just the fundamental question.
Do you know that they've contributed tremendous amounts of money to her campaign?
Yes.
Do you know they've contributed a lot of money to Eric Schneiderman, the New York Attorney General?
Here's my question.
No, do you know that?
I did not know that.
Do you know that these people went to every Attorney General practically in the country that they could? And do you know this case was turned down by almost every Attorney General from Texas to Florida to many of these states?
Is it not, when Hillary Clinton says this is a racist attack, and you reject that, if you are saying he can't do his job because of his race, is that not the definition of racism?
I don't think so at all.
No?
No, he's proud of his heritage. I respect him for that.
You're saying he can't do his job because of it.
Look, he's proud of his heritage, okay? I'm building a wall. Now, I think I'm going to do very well with Hispanics. You know why I'm going to do well with Hispanics? Because I'm going to bring back jobs, and they're going to get jobs right now. They're going to get jobs. I think I'm going to do very well with Hispanics, but we're building a wall. He's a Mexican. We're building a wall between here and Mexico. The answer is, he is giving us very unfair rulings. Rulings that people can't even believe. This case should have ended years ago on summary judgment.
All right, so let's talk more about this. Joining me right now is CNN political commentator Tara Setmeyer, a Donald Trump supporter Scotty Nell Hughes, and Pastor Daryl Scott, who is also a Donald Trump supporter. Good to see all of you.
Thanks, Fred.
Okay, welcome to the table. All right, so you've got, former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, who says Donald Trump has got to move his game up. Tara, is this a significant setback for Donald Trump to defend his characterization of this judge and justifying it as bias because he wants to build this wall?
Absolutely. I think this is one of the biggest gaffes so far of this election for him. If Newt Gingrich, who has been quite the supporter of Donald Trump, even vying for his vice president, has come out and said that this is inexcusable, then you know it's pretty bad. There's no excuse whatsoever for anyone running to be the president of the United States to cast aspersions on the integrity of a judge, a federal judge, simply because his parents are from Mexico. Where does that end? If we substituted that thinking with black, Christian, Jewish, woman, people would be up in arms. There is absolutely no excuse for that. So does that mean, by Donald Trump's logic, then the percentage of, which is quite large, percentage of Mexican-American Border Patrol agents are incapable of performing their duties as law enforcement officers along the border because they're Mexican-American? I mean, this is ridiculous, and it's so insulting. It is absolutely 100% racist, and this is not what this country stands for, and it should not be tolerated.
So, Pastor, how do you defend what we're hearing from Donald Trump right now?
Well, I don't think that Donald Trump is even conveying racism in any way, form, or fashion. He's searching for a motivation for why this judge is behaving the way he's behaving in this trial. I mean, this judge has unsealed documents.
Then why does it have to go to his heritage? Because that is the question being asked of Donald Trump.
Because
and you
in searching for a motivation or a reason why this judge is behaving as he does in this case, the only conclusion he can come to is it must be because the media has portrayed me or exaggerated me to be anti-Mexican. Because if you look at it, any other judge would have dismissed the case a long time ago.
That's
There's
untrue.
Overwhelming. How do you know it's not true?
Yeah. Because I've reviewed the legal documents, Pastor, and you can see if you knew anything about the rulings from this judge, you would see that he's actually ruled in favor of Donald Trump on a couple of things.
Well, Pastor, you asked the question.
That's how I know.
Let's hear Tara.
I'm not used to being interrupted. I'm not used to being interrupted like that. And then if I come at you the way I want to come at you, you're going to call me misogynistic. So stop it. As he looks for a motivation for this judge's behavior in a case that should have been thrown out a long time ago, the judge unsealed documents and then tried to reseal documents. He's saying to himself that because of the media attention that's been given to me, and the judge even said himself that he unsealed the records because of the inordinate media attention, he's saying maybe the judge should recuse himself. Now, that's not unusual. It's not unusual for jurors to be excused from a case because of the high-profile media attention that it attracts. So Donald Trump is saying this guy must have an outside motivation for treating me the way he's doing, and it might be because he's Mexican.
Okay, so
can I just set the record
okay,
straight
go
really
ahead, Tara.
quickly, please, on this? The facts here. Number one, this case has been going on since 2010, and Judge Curiel has been involved with it on and off since then. That's number one. There was no objection before that. Number two, if this judge was acting so improperly, then Trump's legal team could have moved to have him recused months ago. Number three, this judge has ruled in favor of Donald Trump on a number of issues, including moving the case until after the election because he felt as though it wasn't, the timing of it in the middle of the election probably wasn't a good thing. So that was in favor of Donald Trump. They granted that request. Number three, when Donald Trump countersued the lead plaintiff in this case for defamation because he was upset that she brought the fraud case, he countersued her for $1 million, and he lost. He initially won that case and then lost it on appeal, and this judge reduced the penalties that Trump had to pay in that case. So there is absolutely no basis. Oh, and the reason why he unsealed those documents was a Freedom of Information Act, Freedom of Information request from the Washington Post.
And why did he reseal? Why did he seek to reseal some of the documents?
Because they didn't redact. There was a clerical error, and they didn't redact names. That's
no,
right.
it wasn't a clerical error, it was a judicial error.
So I wonder
and
if
it shows this judge might be incompetent. He might be incompetent, I don't know.
Tara and the pastor, I wonder if this underscores, this becomes a distraction, does it not, from the issues that any voter would expect Donald Trump to be expounding on. Apparently, Donald Trump has said tomorrow, Scotty, that he is going to have a rebuttal of sorts to Hillary Clinton's foreign policy speech. He's going to do that tomorrow. But what is further, or later on this week, but what is instead further being discussed is the word choice that he uses, the characterizations of the judge that he uses. This is just more, does it not appear to be just more of the same of Donald Trump kind of just slinging some stuff out there, but then he doesn't have to answer to specific issues?
Well, it's not Mr. Trump that's bringing this up. And to correct Tara on one point, Judge Curiel is not a fan or a friend of Mr. Trump. I know you point out those little things, but let's state the record. In 2014, he is the one who appointed these prosecutors, the same prosecutors that had taken more than that had paid $675,000 to Bill and Hillary Clinton at various points. So it is obvious that a lot of this is the timing of it is right now. And if he did unseal the documents, they were sealed, unsealed, they flip-flopped back and forth based on what really worked for the media and the news cycle. So to sit there and phrase that this is something that, the Judge Curiel is a friend of Mr. Trump is completely false, but expected from someone that is against Mr. Trump. But that was since 2014. It was obvious that the Clintons were not friends with Mr. Trump since that point. Since Hillary has been Hillary has been small-minded. Hillary has been obviously running for president since 2008. But I think to actually our host's question, yes, you look at that Mr. Trump tomorrow is going, and it's interesting to call it a foreign policy speech because there was very little, if any, foreign policy that was introduced by Hillary Clinton's very well-delivered, well-written speech from a teleprompter. But there was very little and actually no new foreign policy that was introduced, as opposed to the foreign policy that Mr. Trump had laid out weeks before. So tomorrow, I don't necessarily want to say he's rebuting her foreign policy speech. He's just basically playing defense off of what was basically a cowardly person hiding behind teleprompters, just throwing insults at Mr. Trump.
We're going to take a short break. Scotty, Tara, and Pastor, we're going to have you back. We're going to finish our conversation right after this. Also coming up, the Boston Globe reporting Donald Trump pays his female staffers 1/3 less than men. We'll debate that potential impact on women voters next.
Every day we do stories about people in need. With CNN's Impact Your World, you can help. When you go to the Impact Your World section at CNN.com, you'll find more on the stories that move you. Plus, you can find out just what you can do to help, with links to reputable charities and organizations. Find out more on New Day and go to CNN.com/impact. Be the change. Take action. Make an impact.
What does it mean to go there? It doesn't mean reading about it. It means packing a bag and going there and talking to the people. Talking to activists in secret, activists risking their lives for speaking to a Western journalist in Damascus. Talking to people on the margins of the story about how they're affected by the decisions of those much more powerful than them. That is why I go there, to get the story firsthand.
A new report from the Boston Globe finds a pay gap on Donald Trump's campaign. The paper's analysis of campaign payroll data reveals Trump has paid women staffers a third less than men. The paper writes the women who work for Trump, who account for about 28% of his total staff, made an average of about $4,500 in April, and men, on the other hand, made about $6,100, or about 35% more. By comparison, the women working for Clinton, who account for 53% of her total staff, took home an average of $3,710. The men made slightly more at $3,760. Clinton staffers, men and women, made less than the women who work for Trump. So what's this all mean? Back with us, CNN political commentator Tara Setmeyer, Donald Trump supporter Scotty Nell Hughes, and Pastor Daryl Scott, who is also a Donald Trump supporter. So Scotty, how do you explain it? Are you a paid staffer as a surrogate for Donald Trump's campaign?
I am not and never have been a paid staffer of any person that's been elected to office.
Okay, so when you hear the Boston Globe's reporting here and the disparity of women being paid less than men on Donald Trump's campaign, in comparison with Hillary Clinton's campaign, where men and women are making almost the same, what's your response to that?
Well, it sounds bad, exactly how you just stated it, but when you actually get into the article, you realize that the article is very factually incorrect because it's comparing apples to oranges. First of all, it's taking data that was collected back in April. Since then, Hillary Clinton's added 60 more jobs onto her campaign staff, Mr. Trump maybe a handful more, and they're sitting there comparing people that are in communications office versus actual senior staff members or people that are state directors. And so they're looking at the Hillary Clinton campaign averaging out these numbers of 617 staff members compared to Mr. Trump, which was only about 113 at that time. I actually consider that to be efficiency. When you're sitting there and you're
But
Mr.
if it's based on average, how is that unfair?
Well, because it's not that you're sitting there and you're looking at the different roles that they're playing. You cannot sit there and compare someone who is the campaign director versus somebody that's a state director and say, oh, but look at the difference in pay.
Do you worry, as a surrogate that you have to work harder about trying to convey a message when Donald Trump's message is He wants to help bring about equal pay. He wants to make sure that women are taken care of. This kind of reporting or that kind of data is the antithesis of his message. Do you worry about now the compensation you now have to make as his surrogate to try to convey his message?
Absolutely not, because you're sitting here and if you look at for what it is, the only reason why Hillary Clinton has done this with her campaign is because she got caught in both the Senate office when she was paying her male members more than her females, and now with the Clinton Foundation that's just recently come out where the male staff members with the Clinton Foundation is actually making more. I think it's $218,000 to $153,000 for female staff members with the Clinton Foundation. The only reason why Hillary is doing this is because she's already been caught once and she's not going to be caught again with her hand in the cookie jar.
Tara, is it as simple as that?
I tend to think that this is more of a non-story because when you start talking about differences in pay, you have to factor in who's doing what jobs and who gets paid what in those jobs, and when it's comparable jobs, then usually the pay gap narrows. So I'm less upset about this story than I think this is, it doesn't bode well for him if that's a single issue for you and you feel that that's something that you think is unfair. If you're looking for Donald Trump to say, he says that he treats women fairly and equally as everyone else and doesn't pay them the same, okay, fine. But I think that the bigger story is the fact that Donald Trump can't get past people's ethnicities, and he's impugning federal judges. If you have a problem with him being a liberal judge, then go after the rulings. Don't go after his ethnicity. I think that opens a door into a Pandora's box of very bigoted, racist history in this country that we don't need in someone who's going to be the president of the United States.
Pastor, you're shaking your head?
Well, because once again, and Tara, unbelievably, I agree with her as far as the non-issue of the employment is concerned, but Tara acts as if she migrated to America and she's not aware of the racial climate of this country. Black people play the race card more than any other race, and we actually probably are more racist than any other race because we blame the white man all the time for all of our inequities in life. We're still trying to be stuck on slavery, and we think we have a right to be racist and to express ourselves racially. Whenever there's a high-profile case, Freddie Gray was just found with the decision in the Freddie Gray case in Baltimore, the black community screamed racism until they said, well, the judge was black. And they said, well, if he's black, he must be an Uncle Tom, or he was a plant by the white establishment.
What does this have to do with Donald Trump? What does this have to do with Donald Trump going after a judge because he's got Mexican heritage?
What it means is that is the racial climate of this country that we are in.
All right, we'll leave it right there. We're going to have you back. We'll have another conversation because this is off topic. This is another conversation another day. Pastor Darrell Scott, Tara Setmeyer, Scotty Nell Hughes, thank you so much. All right, coming up on